Hey guys, Mr. T here. This is another video. This one is on subtracting or subtraction manually. So a lot of this is similar to the setup for addition, but there's much more tricky rules for remainders, and remainders act a little different than what you're doing with addition. It's not really remainders. It's more you're taking numbers away or tens away from the number on the left. But we'll go through that in the example. What you need to do first is stack the numbers being subtracted on top of each other. The larger number must be first. We can't deal with negative numbers when you're subtracting manually. Also, you cannot subtract more than two numbers at once, so don't try. You need to just stack two numbers on top of each other and do that subtraction. If you've got multiple subtractions to do, then you do them one after the other. You still need to line up the decimal points vertically. You need to work from the right to the left, so you start on the rightmost column and you work to the left. You subtract numbers down the columns, just like you were adding them before. You're subtracting them this time. Take them away. Now, if a number being subtracted is larger than your number you're trying to subtract from, so let's say the number on top of the column that you're doing is smaller than the number below, which you're trying to take away from it, you take one away from the column on the left from the top number of the column on the left. A lot of words here, we'll go over an example, but I'm just setting out the rules, okay? What this does, this adds 10 to the number the number being subtracted from in the column you're currently working in. The number being subtracted from is now larger than the number being subtracted, so you can do it, okay? So what happens is, if you're trying to subtract something in a particular column, and the number you're taking away is larger than the number you're trying to subtract from, you take 1 from the top number in the column on the left, and what that does is adds 10 to the number that you are being subtracted from in the column that you're looking at right now. And so suddenly that number is big enough for you to do the subtraction, when before the number being subtracted was larger. Once again, like addition, the last digit of the subtraction goes under the answer line. You won't have to deal with remainders here, I don't think, because you're making the number large enough just to get it to be able to subtract. The decimal point in the answer is aligned with decimal points in the original numbers, so you're lining them up like before. Now, this is the other trick here with the remainders, or the remainder style thing we need to deal with. If the top number of the column on the left is 0, so we were talking about how before, if the number you're trying to take away is too big for the number that you're trying to take it away from, you get 10 from the next column over. But what if that number on the next column over on the top is a 0, and you're trying to take 1 from it? Well, at that point you treat it like a 10, but you must immediately take 1 from the next top number on the left again. So you need to skip over another column to take away 1 from that. So that, if you just look at the rules, is extremely confusing, but if you see an example in action, it shouldn't be too bad. So the first one is a pretty simple example. I've said you stack the numbers on top of each other. You line up the decimal points. These don't have any decimal points, they're whole numbers, but the decimal point is to the right. We just don't write it, so you can line them up anyway. 943. Indicate that we're subtracting it and draw an answer line. Start from the right-hand column. 7 take 3 is 4. 6 take 4 is 2. 5 take 9. I'm trying to take 9 from 5. It is too big for 5. So I take away 1 from the top number in the column on the left. So 2 take away 1 is 1. And I put that here. But because that 1 that I'm taking away from this column on the left is 10 times bigger than the numbers in this column, that's essentially adding 10 to this 5 that I'm looking at. So it becomes 15. This number here that I've went with the 1 next to it is 15. You're not just adding it like an addition, 1 plus 5. No, this number is 10. This 1 is actually 10 times bigger because it came from this column here. So it's 10 plus 5 is 15. 15 is now big enough. 15 is now big enough to subtract 9 from. 15 take 9 is 6. 1 take nothing. 0 there. 1 take nothing is 1. So just double check that, because I don't trust myself. 2, 5, 6, 7 minus 9, 4, 3, 1, 6, 2, 4. All good. Now let's try an example where I'm trying to make it deliberately dodgy. Okay, so we got decimals here and we got a lot of zeros, so we're going to have to use that technique where you're skipping over columns. So 2,0,0,50.362. So we have decimals here, so we need to line up the decimals on top of each other. 5671.24, answer line, minus. You can add zeros to these numbers if you want, so they line up. I'll just do that now. Okay, so work from the right hand side, subtract down the columns. So 2 take 0. 2 take 0 is 2. 6 take 4 is 2. 3 take 2 is 1. We haven't had to deal with any remainders here. Ignore the decimal for now. 0 take 1. 0 is too small for 1 to be subtracted from it. So I need to take 10 from the column on the left, of the top number in the column on the left, and I have to take 1 from that. So 5 take 1 becomes 4. 10 take 1 now is 9. 4 take 7. 4 is too small for 7 to be subtracted from it. So I need to take 10 from the next column, the top number in the next column on the left. So that becomes 14. But now here we have the problem. How am I going to take 1 from 0? Actually, we're taking 1 from 10. So 10 take 1 is 9, but we have to immediately take the 10 from this number here, and because it's a 0, it acts like 10 again, so that becomes 9. And because we had to grab a 10 from the next column on the left, we also had to subtract 1 from this column, so that acts like 10, it becomes a 9. And then where did we get that 10 times bigger number from? It came from this 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So you can see how there was a lot of jumping across there to get our 10s from there. So 10 take 1 is 9. Here we have 14. 14 take 7 is 7. This number is 9 now. 9 take 6 is 3. 9 take 5 is 4. 9 take 0 is 9. 1 take 0 is 1. And lastly, the decimal points in the answer line up with the numbers being subtracted. So let's just double check that that was correct. What is that? 200,050.362 minus 5671.24 is 194,379.122. Correct. And that ends that video. Hopefully that helps you out, and I will see you in the next one.